So there are a few reports that came out in the last few weeks that Apple's making some pretty big product changes. So here are 10 of the more interesting ones. And you know what else is interesting? 8Sleep, the world's smartest mattress cover. The 8Sleep pod cover that can cool down or heat up to improve your sleep, with sensors for measuring sleep stages, body movement, and even your heart rate. It's got haptics to wake you up in the morning, and it's even used by people like Elon Musk and Andrew Huberman, and I highly recommend it too. More about the 8Sleep pod cover by using the link below, as well as later in the video, where I'll be talking about how it managed to improve my sleep. And now, back to the video. With Apple's first big product change, the iPhone's battery. Not that long ago, the EU forced Apple to switch to USB Type-C, which we all know by now is actually happening with the iPhone 15s. Well, the EU seems to be forcing Apple to make another big change, as a new European Parliament ruling seeks to make batteries easily removable and replaceable by users. Now, currently you can replace the battery yourself, but only if you have the right tools. And even then, the process is not easy, as you actually have to remove the screen to get to the battery. And the chances of you breaking the screen or something else in your phone are quite high. And even if you manage to replace your iPhone's battery without damaging your screen, you'll still get the battery needs to be serviced message in the settings, something that you always get with third-party batteries. The only way to avoid this is to buy one of Apple's official batteries, which you can actually do by going to their self-service repair website. Something that Apple has started doing after more pushback from the EU and the right to repair advocates from all around the world. However, their self-service repair store is, number one, difficult to find, as it's not even on Apple's website, and two, even if you buy all the components and tools that you need for the repair, and you also read the super detailed repair manual, replacing the battery is still a very complicated process. This new law would enforce Apple to allow anyone with any level of technical knowledge to easily replace the battery without damaging their phone. Essentially, they will need to redesign the entire iPhone to allow for this to be possible, and make the battery easily accessible, with a user simply just removing the screws and lifting the back as opposed to lifting the entire display assembly. Then they would also need to make the batteries available to purchase from the Apple Store directly, as opposed to having a hidden website for this that 99.9% of Apple's customers don't even know exists. The next new Apple product change is when it comes to the iMac. So, according to Mark Gurman's latest newsletter, Apple is indeed actively working on an iMac with a screen size larger than 30 inches. Very likely that iMac Pro. He did say that Apple's conducting some early work, so yeah, I wouldn't expect this new iMac Pro to launch until next year at best. Realistically, this would be the 2-in-1 that pros have been waiting for ever since Apple discontinued the iMac Pro and the 27-inch iMac, a device that we used ourselves to edit hundreds of videos on. I do expect this upcoming iMac to have a similar level of performance to the Mac Studio, and also cost an absolute fortune, potentially even more than buying a Mac Studio alongside a studio display due to the larger size of this iMac. Another big new product change is said to be OLED iPads. So we've seen this rumored for quite some time now that Apple would be updating their iPads to OLED displays in 2024. Panels that use a dual stack OLED display technology that still get that super deep level of blacks that OLEDs are known for, but that keeps the high 1600 nit level of brightness that we have on the current mini LED 12.9-inch iPad Pro. OLED on an iPad would be awesome, as it would make it even better for watching content, which is what iPads are usually used for. However, this is only said to be on the Pro models, at least to begin with. This is said to happen with the M3 models of the iPad Pro, so literally the next version, but this is only set to release in 2024. Speaking of the M3 chip, there are also a number of M3 Macs expected, and we've covered those in multiple videos, but now Mark Gurman has doubled down on what he believes to be the full M3 lineup. And there are really no surprises here, with both the 13-inch and the 15-inch MacBook Airs to be updated with the M3 chip. Same goes for the 13-inch MacBook Pro. Yeah, it seems like Apple would be keeping this 2016 design for another year. There are also two new 24-inch iMac models in the works with the M3 chip, likely a binned and an unbinned version, as well as new MacBook Pros with the M3 Pro and the M3 Max chips. In terms of when we'll get all of these, the standard M3 products would either come in October 2023 or early 2024, likely March, with the Pro versions likely to come a few months later. Okay, now at the beginning of the video, I briefly talked about this really unique mattress cover, the 8Sleep pod cover. So you're probably wondering, can it really improve your sleep? And if so, how does it do it? That was thanks to its ability to automatically adjust its temperature down to as low as 10 degrees Celsius, or to as hot as 45, by analyzing my breathing, my heart rate, as well as my sleep stages. I was also able to see all this data in the app, including my sleep fitness score, and get suggestions that I was able to use to improve my sleep even further. 8 Sleep isn't cheap by any means, but it does work. Therefore, I highly recommend it. It works on any mattress size, and if you use the link below with code ZONE, you get $150 off. The next big product change is when it comes to the future of the Apple Vision Pro. So, according to Mark Gurman, Apple has omitted 3 main features from the first gen Apple Vision Pro, and they will be including these only with the second gen. These features are 1. The ability to show multiple Mac desktop screens when connected to the Vision Pro. 2. The ability for multiple Vision Pro users in a FaceTime group call to use personas. That would be that 3D render of your face. And 3. The ability to use Fitness Plus and workouts when wearing the headset, with augmented reality Fitness Plus content. I don't think the omission of the first one is that big of an issue, since you'll likely just be using the apps on visionOS directly, and maybe just use the Mac desktop for apps like Final Cut and some of the ones that don't actually work with visionOS at all. The omission of the second feature is a bit strange, as you would assume that multiple Vision Pro users should be able to have a FaceTime call together. But that doesn't seem like is going to be the case, at least not with them being able to see their 3D avatars. Really don't know why that is, as you would assume that their 3D face renders would be processed by Apple servers and not your own Vision Pro. But man, this third omission, Fitness Plus, is really strange, as you would assume that all of Apple's services would play a big role in Vision OS and the Apple Vision Pro. I don't know if this is something to do with the Vision Pro's weight or something else, but yeah, I do find it really odd that Fitness Plus would not be supported. Speaking of the weight, the next change is that the Vision Pro headset will indeed support a top strap for added comfort, something that we've seen in some of Apple's teasers for it. However, you will have to buy this separately, as apparently Apple is not considering it an essential accessory to include in the box. And here's the thing, this headset costs $3,500. And for that price, it should come with all the accessories that Apple made for it, just like, you know, how the first iPhone included a bunch of extras in the box, including a really nice dock. However, we need to remember that when Apple announced the price of the Vision Pro, they said it is starting from $3,500, meaning that there will likely be different storage options and a number of other accessories that Apple will be selling. Now, speaking of the Vision Pro, visionOS is now open to developers to test and use in the latest version of Xcode, and this is actually the full version of it. You can explore it in its entirety, you can use all of its apps, and even change the backgrounds. So if you want to give visionOS an early try, this is the best way to do it. Plus, you can now become a registered developer without having to pay that annual fee. A couple of cool new features are visual search, which allows you to search real-life objects in visionOS. For example, if someone hands you a piece of paper that has a link on it, you can simply just open up that link in visionOS directly. Then there's also travel mode that's specifically made to enhance your experience when flying, and many more other new features. If you do want us to make a detailed video about visionOS, do let us know in the comments. At number 3, we have a software change, and that is PhotoStream shutting down. So I don't know if you guys know this, but PhotoStream was the initial version of iCloud Photos, where it wasn't really saving anything to the cloud, but it was pushing the most recent 1000 photos that you've taken via your iPhone to your iPad and Mac. And PhotoStream was introduced in 2011. It didn't use any of your iCloud storage, so many users who did not sign up for Apple's paid iCloud plans kept on using it. But unfortunately, PhotoStream is shutting down on the 26th of July. If you do still use it or have used it in the recent years, simply just go into your iPhone's Photos app and look at your albums and see if you have a PhotoStream album by any chance. And if you do, make sure to copy everything out of that onto your iCloud Photos library before the 26th of July. Then a couple of changes in iOS 17 now with the second beta. There's an update screen that now shows you more info about the beta changes. There are now specific tips in apps other than just the usual separate tips app. Microlocation has been added in the settings, although it's not really clear what this is. Standby gets an option to turn off notifications, and Apple Music gets the option for on-screen widgets in different sizes. But I think that one of the biggest changes here in iOS 17 is Apple automatically assigning a passkey to each user in iOS 17, iPadOS 17, and also macOS Sonoma. Passkeys are essentially the future version of passwords, allowing you to authenticate using your biometrics. No need to actually remember a password, and since they are end-to-end encrypted, they are way more secure than passwords are. And thanks to every user getting one in iOS 17, third-party apps will now start using passkeys, and the transition to passwordless logins will now begin. What do you guys think of all of these Apple product changes? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned for more Leaks and Rumors episodes and more Apple news. I'm Daniel, it's Xenoph Tech, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Xenoph Tech, signing out. Cheers.